What is up, everybody? Hope you're having a great day this Monday, August 29th. Last couple of days of August. The LA Galaxy got a big win yesterday, Sunday, against New England Revolution. It was exciting. Riqui Puig with the amazing assist, showed a lot of magic there. So many things went on for the Galaxy. Well, ended up winning 2-1. But here to help me talk all things LA Galaxy, we got Damien. Damien, how you doing?
Doing all right. Good to be back on.
Yeah, man, it's good to be back on. I feel like every time I went on Twitter or Instagram on social media, it was nothing but Riqui Puig assists. Before we get into that, let's talk about the game because there's so much going on for this game for the Galaxy that went right.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they had a great start. They got the first goal. What was that? Like the 5th minute by Chicharito, and then they went up 2-0. Perfect start. Second half, New England just poured it on them. They made a couple changes, and you could feel New England. I mean, pushing for a goal, and you could feel a goal was coming, and they got it. I think like in the 80. Let me see if I can find it here. In like the 80th minute, I believe.
I think it was like 80th, 82nd, something like that.
Yeah, 82nd. Yeah, and that just left it up to the Galaxy had to survive it. Jonathan Bond was huge in goal. I think he had 7 or 8 saves. A couple of them were like clear shots right at him. He came up with some great saves. One shot hit the post. I think in the first half. Yeah, it all worked out. It got out of there with a much needed 3 points.
Yeah, and the thing that I really liked is that you got to see everything work well for the Galaxy. At least the first 15 minutes, they were completely dominating the game and how they got their goals. From the run of play, from I think what was the third minute you said right here is Chicharito with the assist to Aguirre. Aguirre ends up taking the shot. Just
Yeah.
right there, right inside the 18. He puts it in the back of the net. Great finish, great shot just to have the confidence. So we saw a lot of good passes from this Galaxy team, at least the first 15 minutes, which was really good, And then then we have the Riqui Puig. But let's talk about this pass and this assist from Chicharito, but then also Aguirre finishing that.
Yeah, I mean, there were 2 great passes, especially with Javier checking back, getting possession, and playing Aguirre forward there. Great finish by Aguirre. And then the Riqui Puig pass, man, I mean, I've never seen a pass for a Galaxy player like that in a long time, man. That was perfect, right on the money. Um, got Javier in stride, and perfect finish and put it away there.
Man, this is I don't know. That is just an amazing assist. When I saw that, I was on the plane. Like I was on the plane, and I saw that, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I couldn't believe the type of assist just to put the ball right in the money. And this is what we expect, right? At least because when Ricky Puig was saying he's like he likes to assist, I don't really watch Barcelona like I know some people do, but man, that he just put that right in the money. Chicharito, smart enough to continue his run to get them the ball right there. And to me, is just you're starting to see some of the magic. You're starting to see that's just a world class assist, a world class pass, and you can see that if you're able to find Chicharito in open space and give him that service that sometimes he's needed this year, he's needed for some time. If you put the ball right there, 9 out of 10 times or 10 out of 10 times, Chicharito is going to put that in the back of the net. But let's talk about that, Riqui Puig, what he could bring. Look, this was his first start, his second game with the Galaxy, but what potential could you see for these final 7 or 8 games that are left in the season?
Yeah, even going back to the game against Seattle, you see when he gets on, I think they play a little quicker. I didn't because
Mhm.
for the first time watching last night, I wasn't sitting here saying, "Man, they're playing so slow." I mean, the ball was moving, which you have to do. You got to move the ball. Um, Greg came out in a different formation, but the guys in the midfield, Brugman, Aguirre, and Puig, they were moving the ball around, getting it forward, getting it out to the wings. So yeah, he gets on and the ball just moves. You can't hold the ball and play slow all the time. That's not really good for anybody, really.
No, and it's not. And I think The other thing too is just like you just see the emotion right there. Even after the win, you see right there how he, Riqui Puig brings a like a contagious positive energy to this team that that it's much needed, right? Because it's been a roller coaster of a season, and you have a player that brings in a little bit different energy. You said they play about a lot quicker, and that's what I noticed as well at the Sounders game. He came in with so much rhythm, excitement, and you can kind of see how gifted he is tactically, and what he can produce. This is 2 games in, but to me, you can only imagine what he could potentially do down the line. How he's able at times, to control that midfield, know where the right pass is, and I think that's going to open up players like potentially Grant Sir on the wing to continue to make those runs because if I'm a player and I see that you're able to make those type of passes and hit me to a T. What makes me think if I make a run, if potentially Cabral or Grand Sur, whoever's out in the wing, or Jovic, makes
Yeah.
a run like that, it's gonna break those lines in a very creative type of way, in a very way that only Ricky Puig could only do, because that's one element that I see that the Galaxy have that maybe other teams in the MLS may not have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. We didn't really ask Greg if he wanted to play him 90 minutes, but I guess he didn't really want to break up the rhythm there. But for him to go 90 in the second game, in the second half, he had a good look on goal too from about maybe 15, 16 yards out. He took a
Mhm.
right-footed shot, I think, and the keeper made a save on it. But yeah, he was all energy, all going, um, throughout the game. So it'll be interesting to see what short turnaround. What kind of minutes do they have him on for Wednesday?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the interesting thing. I just want to show one more angle of this because, man, I want to show. I think the Galaxy ended up posting this on their Twitter. Here we go.
Here it is,
From the top.
folks. The chest and the vision, and what technique to play that needle
Yeah,
through
yeah,
ball,
it
cutting
split the center backs too, right? It's like,
The way you just split them. I mean, this angle is ridiculous. Is You really get to see. He brings it down with his chest, and bam, the second touch. It's
yeah,
like he already knows where to put the ball, and I wonder if like Chicharito, they've been doing if he, because I feel like as an attacker, you as a forward attacker, um who can commit, who's able to do those or have certain passes or something like that. But I wonder if Chicharito starts seeing this in practice, because there's he literally brought the ball down and knew where to put the ball, and
yeah,
Chicharito just kept running. And I think that's one thing that I think to me it's very exciting about a player like this with the Galaxy, because like I said earlier, it just opens up so many things. It opens up the offense. You get to be more creative. And you can also control that midfield a lot more because those are the 1-2 touch from there. Um, but yeah, let's talk about also Jonathan Bond. Jonathan Bond had a big night, big performance. If it wasn't for him, we could talk about the Galaxy potentially, going 2-2, or maybe even coming back with the loss. But what do you think about Jonathan Bond?
yeah. He was put under the fire pretty early. They had a couple good looks in the first half, but he was there, made a good save. There was one shot, I think, by McCown. I think his name is McCoon or whatever. He was probably just atop the 18. He took I think, a right-handed whack at it. I mean, a right-footed swing, and Bond got the save. The one goal, the one shot he couldn't save was something you can't save. The
Yeah.
goal by that goal by Carlos Hill was that was world class there. I mean, nobody's saving that one. But overall, I think 7 or 8 saves. It's a pretty good night.
Yeah, I think Mike Gray here is in the chat. He says 7 saves.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is super. Says Cheech started that run before Puig had control of the ball. Yeah, I mean, to me, the most exciting thing, to go back a little bit real quick, is the understanding between Cheech and Puig, for him to even 2 games in. They haven't been able to practice that much. But yeah, Jonathan Bond. You know, he had a big game. He had a big game. I know there's been games that he's not been as good as we've seen before, but last night against the Revs, I mean, it was literally save after save after save. And you're talking about, what was it, Carlos Hill, his goal? Yeah, I mean, he put it in the upper 90. that's one thing. You're rarely, no matter how tall or gifted you are, if a player puts the ball perfectly, there's no there's no way you're gonna stop that. But yeah, outside of that, I thought it was a great game from Jonathan Bond. Let's talk about the Galaxy saving this lead because it was close. It was close that the Revs were knocking at the door. What did you see different that they were able to finally close out a game?
Yeah, I was a little shocked that the ref put up 8 minutes of stoppage time,
Mm,
which that sort of added on to the night there. But yeah, it just they have to learn how to close out games, kill off games. If that's time wasting or what.
mhm.
I mean, it's an art they haven't really developed yet. Really, you just got to find a way to kill it off. It might be tough with 8 minutes. You're thinking maybe 4 or 5, and you throw up 8. But overall, the group, I mean, Gasper out on the left, they had a solid job. All the guys, Koulibaly, even though he went out injured there, he had a solid job. Dupuis, Araujo, all those guys did a solid job closing down there in the second half there. But 8 minutes, yeah, I didn't see that coming, and that was a surprise to me to see that number go up.
Yeah, 8 minutes is a lot, and yeah, I don't think that game deserved 8 minutes.
Yeah,
5 is, I think, you're being kind, but yeah, 8, it's more than generous there. But yeah, to me, it's a good win. It's a much needed win, and look, it doesn't get any easier as we know. Every single game, they need to win every point. But I think also when you talk about time wasting, I think it's a maturity of the team, right? Some teams have it when you know how to waste time respectfully, right? Because there's a way to waste
yeah,
time.
yeah. That's what
You know, there's a way. We've
there's a way.
seen the
Yeah,
Sounders do it. We've seen a lot of teams do it. I think there's a way to waste that time and make the other team more anxious, make the other team commit the fouls and stuff. But yeah, I think the more games they get under the belt, they get that experience. They're able to potentially switch things up. But yeah, to me, good win, much needed points. It keeps them at seventh place with 37 points in the MLS standings. But look, like I said, every single game, every single point is really going to matter. They head on here in a couple of days. Wednesday, they head to Toronto. Big game against Toronto. Look, those guys are rolling high. They're also on the outside, kind of looking in. I think they're 10th in the East, and in the Western and the Eastern standings. Let's talk about that because both teams need the points. But Toronto has played a lot better as of late. How do you see this matchup? Greg Vanney, I think this is his first time going back to Toronto, if I'm right,
yeah,
going back to Toronto since he came to the Galaxy. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah. Toronto's 10th. They're starting 3 points out of the seventh spot there. I think they won their midweek game for not their weekend game 2-0 over Charlotte. But they're going home in front of their fans. It's going to be a tough spot. The Galaxy's dealing with some issues. Raheem Edwards was out. It might have been some hamstring tightness. Greg said he's trying to get some running in, so maybe he's back.
Who'd you say?
Um,
Sorry, I didn't catch
uh,
that.
Ra- Raheem Edwards.
Raheem Edwards. Raheem
Yeah.
Edwards. Okay.
Mark Delgado. He wasn't on a trip to New England because of
Yeah. What?
a non-COVID illness.
Hmm.
He might join them if he's healthy enough. He might join them for Wednesday. So that's up in the air too. But if he's not there, I mean you're looking at Aguirre again who went 90 minutes. Maybe you can select Sasha in there, came off the bench. I think Adam Saldana's on the trip. Maybe he gets into that midfield, but some of those guys lost some heavy minutes Saturday just to get those 3 points. Now you got to try and get something out of Wednesday. If it's a draw, it's a draw going against Toronto at home. You mean you'll take that and run out of town quickly with that 1 point.
Yeah. No, I think they may be away. I think I think they're going to Canada, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Going there. Yeah,
Well, yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a tough game as we see the standings right there for the Galaxy. It doesn't get any easier. Like I said, you have Portland with 36 points and in the eighth seed. Vancouver at 34 points. Seattle outside looking in still with 33, and RSL 39, Nashville 39, and FC Dallas 43. Yeah, it's looking tight. Look, if we look at the schedule right here, right, it's Toronto, then this Sunday at home versus Sporting Kansas City, Nashville, Vancouver, Colorado, San Jose, RSL, then Houston Dynamo. These does not get any easier for the Galaxy. I just maybe one or two games, maybe Colorado and San Jose
I
are
mean,
easy
maybe
games.
that's not
Maybe, yeah, right.
even
Maybe like I don't want to say any game here is an easy game,
no.
but it's like they got to get points in all these games. You would assume that they need to get. I mean, all 3 points in every single game, but I mean, the way they've had this season, I don't know. I don't see that. Let's just look at this. All right, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 8 games.
8 games.
Out
So
of
that's
these 8 games, you can get
24 possible points.
24 points. Out of 24 points, what do you think the Galaxy are capable of getting?
Oh man,
I know it's tough. I know it's
yeah,
tough.
it's tough. It's First of all, you would think you would have to win your home games.
Yeah, let's just go with the assumption of that. That's
Yeah.
fair.
So
Because
that's
Sporting Kansas City, Nashville,
no Nashville's on the
Vancouver.
road.
Oh, Nashville, excuse me,
Yeah.
Vancouver, San Jose, and then Houston. So
So
those
you have
three
three.
home games.
So you got to get that. You got to get those. On the road, you're going to
Sorry. Sporting Kansas City, Colorado,
Colorado and Salt Lake. Yeah.
or so yes, is at home. Sorry, I was looking
Yeah.
at this wrong.
Man, it's tough to put a number on it because you just don't know what these other teams are doing. At one point, I mean, last year's team, what did they finish out on? 48,
I don't remember.
I
I don't
believe.
remember.
So that number might still be might be the target again. 47, maybe. Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, every time you ask a coach, I mean, is there a number that you think you need to hit? And they always tell you no, but back of their mind, they know what number they want to hit.
It's 48. Yeah, I was talking with Chris Maldonado. I think it's the number that every I don't want to say guaranteed, but if you get 48 points in the season, you have a very good likelihood of making it to the playoffs.
So 48, that's 11 away.
11 away, yeah.
Whew. Yeah, that means you got to win your homes and try and get lucky on the road.
Yeah, get lucky or even get some ties on the road, because yeah, it gets tricky, right? It gets it's crazy how it's already coming. We're coming down to the last 8 games of the season when it's
Yeah.
felt like.
But one thing that's helping the Galaxy, they have 11 wins. Portland has 8, Vancouver has 9, Colorado has 8, Sporting has 8, Seattle has 10. So that's a tiebreaker. Wins is a tiebreaker. So that's one thing they have in their favor right now. I mean, especially over Portland and Vancouver and Colorado there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think to go back, even Mike Gray says he's like Toronto are a completely different team with Zinye. And yeah, with the two new signings, those guys are scoring goals and making a difference on that team. Um, as we look onto Wednesday, look, if you get a tie, I don't think anybody's going to be upset, right? You got to get something. You got to get some points, especially on the road, and the because to me, I think if you don't want to be like what's happened the last couple of years on this, you get to decision day, right? And
Yeah.
history has not been kind to the
No.
Galaxy when it comes to the decision day, the final. We remember last year, then we remember a couple seasons ago as well. I think that's the thing. If you can at least, because the last game's against Houston, I see if you can at least give yourself some type of wiggle room, I think. I think you could. I don't know. You having a positive outlook, but I think that's the thing. It's like you got to get points every single game, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it's trending towards either way. That last game is going to be important. I mean, to several teams in the Western Conference. So, if you want to make sure you don't, if you want to make sure it's not that important to you, you got to try and solidify a spot in the top 4 somehow, which is not out of the realm of possibility, but it's going to take some work. gonna take a lot of work to get up there, but it's not a lost cause at all. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, somehow that game's gonna mean that last game's gonna be it's gonna mean something anyway.
Well, guys, in the Galaxy, I think they've also struggled against Houston on the road. I
Yeah,
think historically they've also they struggled out there. So it's not. I mean, even though Houston screw it, currently, I think they're in last place in the standings. Yeah, the
yeah,
Houston
last
Dynamo,
place.
they're currently last place. Um, for whatever reason, that game against Houston has always been difficult for the Galaxy, and decision day has also been difficult for the Galaxy. But yeah, let's talk about this. Obviously, they got one more addition that they brought in Martin Caceres. What are you hearing? When do you think? Because I know I think the visa stuff. When do you think he could potentially be available for them?
I guess they're targeting for Sunday.
Sunday,
Um,
okay.
Greg said that his visa process wasn't the same as Ricky's. He thought Martin's process was a little further along. So hopefully, maybe he's there Sunday. I'm not sure if he's on the trip or not. But yeah, talking to him, we talked to him. What was that before they left? And Greg said he's a right back, center back, and Martin says he'll play wherever Greg wants him to play. Greg talked about how that he thinks the back line, sort of needed something. It needed a he first of all he said they needed some nastiness back there. So that's one thing Martin can bring to him.
Yeah.
Uh, and then also bringing another voice and somebody who can solve some problems out there. Under fire. So yeah, maybe Sundays they can get them cleared Sunday. So that leaves them with 7 games to make an impact, probably.
Yeah, I mean, to me, look, I don't know Martin Caceres is. I haven't watched them. I haven't, seen anything. But I think if you can bring some speed in that center back and a little bit more, what is it? A little bit more, I guess, nastiness or more grit, there. But I think that the main thing is the speed because that's where they're getting beat a lot. The center backs are getting beat a lot. Look, there's Raheem and Araujo have speed, but if those guys get beat off a dribble of a couple of passes, then the center backs are very vulnerable there. I think if you don't have someone has that speed to catch up, if he could be that guy. But how old is he? I think he's in his late 30s, mid 30s.
30, 35.
35, yeah. So maybe a lot to ask for a 35-year-old. I don't know, but look, he is a professional, so I don't want to count him out. And I mean, look, he has experience. He's been with the Uruguayan national team. One thing I do know about Uruguay, I mean, those players are tough. They're gritty. And if you could bring that to this LA Galaxy back line in 7 games, we're going to see if it's a little too late or if he came just right in time and helps them to push to the playoffs. Because I mean, this is I think everybody expects this team to make the playoffs, and for whatever reason, maybe even more questions about this team because the expectation was to make the playoffs, and you don't want to miss them again, for back to back years this season or back to back years, under this new coaching staff, under this new team.
Yeah, they miss it again. That'll be 3 in a row, right?
Is it through? Yeah, would it be
Yeah,
through? Yeah,
yeah. The COVID season, last season, and this
yeah,
season. Um, yeah, it's. I mean, he's coming down the stretch here. I mean, you can see Greg he has a roster that's. I think he has more options now at different spots, and I think it's just him finding the right buttons to push, the, the right pieces to play here. You're adding Caceres to a back line that's already pretty deep, but you add him in there, and then maybe you see how things go, and you add Ricky to the midfield. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you're also adding Daniel Geary in there, and whatever Delgado is. So it's more options. It's just a matter of getting the right pieces in there with the schedule that's pretty still pretty congested. You played Saturday, you play Wednesday, you come back home, you probably get 1 day of training, and you play on Sunday. So yeah, things are getting tight here, but we'll see how it plays out.
yeah. And I think That's the one thing, we're gonna have to see these last couple of games for the Galaxy, how they're able to perform it, because like I said, every game is essentially a playoff game for them, especially sitting in that seventh spot. Even I think even if you make it to the playoffs, you don't want to be in the seventh spot. You may want to be a little higher if it's possible. Because in that seventh spot, then you'd face, I think, the number two team, who currently right now is Austin FC, who ended up
Yeah.
beating LAFC by a big margin this past week. And so it's not gonna, you don't want to just make the playoffs. You also just want to make some noise. Kind of like the Timbers. I think they were the fourth seed, and obviously they ended up going all the way. No one saw that, but like, look, we know anything can happen. Anything can happen in the playoffs as long as you get in there. I think you gotta have to have somewhat of a favorable seed to kind of make some magic there.
Yeah. So we were talking last time about the playoff seeding. So number one seed gets a bye,
Mm-hmm.
and then two plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. So
Yeah.
that's how it is. So yeah, you were open up against Austin FC on the road. That's probably a weekend game. Probably I know the 4 or 5 games are usually those midweek games to start off. So and then if you win that, you play either Dallas or Nashville on the road. So if there's a run in this team, if they don't get out of the 7th spot, it's on the road. So
Yeah.
that's
I mean, look, they have a good possibility of making, if things go well, like I said, like Riqui Puig's energy, I think that you see it throughout, like you see it in his face, but I think that's contagious. You see even with I think Efrain Alvarez, who was standing like right behind him when Galaxy posted the video. One player could potentially make a difference, not just on the field of play, but also the locker room. And I think that's one thing that when you have an up and down season, you need a boost from somewhere. And I think Riqui Puig could be that guy. He's coming very motivated. He's doing things. He's impacting right away. And I think that's one thing that you want from well, I know he's not a DP, but he's probably going to be a DP next season. But a talented player, right? A talented player that comes like that, and I think that's what the Galaxy have been missing from Kevin Cabral and what's his name? Can't even think of it.
you
I
forgot
can't
his
even
name
think.
already.
I
Douglas
can't even
Costa.
think of his name. Douglas Costa, because he hasn't showed something like that. Now, I got a lot of things going on in my head. It's been a busy it's been a busy week. But you know what I'm saying? Like Riqui Puig, second game in, bam, magic.
Yeah.
It's magic. It's like Cabral and Costa. They haven't had. I don't need this. They don't need to have a assist like that, but an impact. Where you're like, dang, like like we're talking about. We're probably going to be talking about this highlight for the next week or so. Unless he does something else, something amazing. But those, I think, little moments like that show your greatness, show your value to the team. Not saying that Douglas Costa doesn't have any value or Kevin Cabral, but like you're able to impact. Who's just excited, we don't see that type of excited emotion from these other guys. Or granted, it's not been easy for Cabral, it's not been easy for Costa, but I feel like they could change that within themselves, just of putting the effort, having a big play or something like that. Doesn't need to be assist, maybe a tackle or something like that. And I think that's what we've been missing from Costa and Cabral.
Yeah. I mean, Ricky. I mean, he's 23 here in a new spot, new country, new team. He just seems that he just seems to be. I mean, he's excited to be here. I mean, you see how he's playing. How when he's talking, how excited he is. So maybe that feeling or that's what I'm looking for. That intensity or whatever sort of permeates through the whole locker room, and it just feeds everybody just feeds off of it going forward here. Yeah, it's possible. I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen crazy thing happen in MLS playoffs. So
Yeah. And Mike's being kind. He said it's okay that guys exist too. Yeah, no, look, I had a lot going on today. But yeah, I think to me, if Push can continue to have these different make difference maker type of games, get Chicharito involved, like even the other guys can get involved as well. I mean, you can see it. I think there's light at the end of the tunnel that you could see that the Galaxy could potentially do. But I think just clearing up that back line a little bit more on those defensive things, and maybe we'll have to see. We could see some magic come playoff time. But I think one thing they don't want to do is completely miss the playoffs. I don't think there's any room for that for this team this season. You got to get in no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with the moves you made down the stretch, you basically made three moves in the final window,
Mm-hmm.
and that the pieces that Greg said he wanted, he needed, he got them. So now the guys got to go get out there and make it work and finish somewhere in the top 7 here.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I definitely do see some light for the Galaxy. They just got to put it together. Continue. Right? Look, I think if they get back to back wins or back to back games that are positive, and you come home and you get a win. You get 3 points. Say you get a tie, and then you get a win on Sunday. Look, that's 7 points right
Yeah,
there. And I mean that's not a bad week. I know there's 3 games
no,
within a
not at all.
week, but 7 points within a week, it's very realistic for the Galaxy. And I think if they want to get this thing going towards the playoffs, I think Wednesday is going to be a good test. Damien, I appreciate you for being on. That's all the time we have with you, my brother. Appreciate you being on. Definitely check out, guys. Definitely check out Damien's work. He does a lot of great work. He's always at the Galaxy's practices, asking good questions. You could definitely hear him in the press conference and everything like that. Damien, I appreciate you being on.
All right, take
We're
care.
gonna wrap things up with Damien. Give us a second, guys, and we'll be right back. And we're back talking LAFC, talking black and gold. Man, this game, this game was surprising on all aspects. I did not expect it. I ended up making the trip out to Austin. The number one team LAFC versus the number 2 team against Austin FC. I had been to Austin before, but I've been wanting to check out the Q2 Stadium. I want to check out how soccer was in Austin. Look, before the game, got to be part of a pregame festivities down at a couple bars not too far from the stadium, from Q2 Stadium. One thing I'll say, Austin is definitely a soccer city. They definitely have the energy, the vibe there, everything going on. I think what they've done there has been amazing. The city's bought into it. The energy there is contagious. But yeah, the game, I did not expect the game to turn out the way it did. But we have Josue Lopez here joining me. Jose, how you doing?
Thank you, Gio. Hi, hope you're doing well. Thanks for having me. It's an honor, and allow me to congratulate you on your coverage in Austin. It was great. I'm sure it was a great experience, as you mentioned. And yes, it was a bad day at the office for LAFC, and I'm happy to discuss this tonight on this show.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate it. It's always great. It's always great to have you on, man. I mean, you do a great job as well covering the team. Always, asking great questions on the press call. But man, like when I was watching the game, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a battle. Bam, you know, the team didn't look good the first half, but then the back-to-back goals to start the game, everything went wrong, completely wrong for LFC. I'm just shocked when they're this talented. Like I even asked Carlos Vela this question. It was like you have Carlos Vela, Chiellini, Bell. I think it's expected that you're going to lose, but I think to lose this way is what's the most shocking thing because it's so much talent in this team, and we've never seen them play this bad. Look, they're bound to have bad games, but just to completely lose, I think get embarrassed essentially in the biggest game of the year, kind of opened up, some question marks about this team. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. As you mentioned, it was maybe maybe the worst game of the team. The worst game with like you said, with you as Carlos, with Bela, with Chiellini, with Gareth Bale. The worst game for LAFC in their newest powerful version, and it was surprising because the starting 11 in defense and in offense was apparently the best. We know Ilya Sanchez was missing, but when comparing to what we saw in the lineup against San Jose, we were a lot of us were confused to see Ryan Hollingsworth in attack. On this game against Austin, you have the new BBC, you have Chicho, you have Belly, you have Bella, and nothing happened. Gareth Bale was practically stopped by Alex Ring and Gallagher. He didn't do anything, and on the second half, Mahala who entered and made a great impact, and Danny Trejo did that as well. Once again, the substitutions brought the excitement on the team, but it was too late. And the defense was not good. Ilya Sanchez's absence was evident. And I have mentioned it in many shows and questions that I've been asked during the weekend. In that play between David Murillo and Urruti, when the Austin player was pushed, I think he deserved a yellow card. Only Urruti received after he shoved him. But yeah, it was not a good day at all for LAFC, and Austin capitalized very well the opportunities that they had.
No, yeah, they did. You mentioned a couple of things there that I thought were great. I was surprised. I mean, I asked this to Sharonda, but I was very surprised that Bell started, because he played like 15 minutes against San Jose, and there's this whole thing about load management, and then you go from load management to all of a sudden starting against Austin FC, and I think this is where it doesn't make sense when LAFC's been using load management, because I don't think now to me, look, this is just me thinking. I don't think they were really load managing him, or quote unquote. I think they just didn't want to play him against bad teams. Is what I get, and they wanted to save him. But I think they could have used the San Jose or the DC game to get him in more rhythm. Because completely gameplay is different from practice. They maybe they have the Vela Chicho, they have that chemistry in practice, but you're playing against your teammates. These guys. But I think to start Bell in this game was a little odd for me, because you had Mahala, who's been on fire. You saw what he did in the second half. What were you surprised that Bell started?
Mm, I was surprised in the sense that you mentioned. I agree with you, but like telling let's say Gareth Bale is completely fit. The discussion in the press conference has been that, like, if Chiellini and Burr are in regular season mode, if they are totally in their fitness 100%. I will make a hypothesis as well. I think it's gonna be hard to tell a full healthy Gareth Bale you are not starting today because of the investment and the impact. I think that the only reason Gareth Bale started against Austin, it was because he's Gareth Bale himself, and that position was totally deserved. In against San Jose, he made a couple of good plays. Against Kansas City and against Real Salt Lake, he entered and made a couple of goals. But Mahala was the one who deserved the starting positions, and we saw that right away. He didn't score because the goalkeeper responded too well, and then Chicho was at the right place at the right time. But yeah, I was surprised in that sense, but I think it happened because he's Sir Gareth Bale, no other reason.
Yeah, and look, let me look. I don't think anybody believe Gareth Bale or Mahala is better than Gareth Bale. Or obviously, I think that's very clear. I think to me, there is when players are in form, and to me, I just didn't understand the load management, and understand if he was good, why didn't he get more minutes in San Jose? Right, you go from 15 minutes to I don't know how many minutes he played with against Austin. I forgot, maybe 60,
Above
65
above
minutes.
60, above
60, right?
60.
60, 65
Yeah,
minutes.
around.
That's a big gap, right? Because usually you go from 15 to 20 to 40 to 40. You build it up, but it's like I think that thing just didn't make sense. From 15, you go from 15 playing 15 minutes The next game you play 65, and I think not just that. I just think it's not just that. Look, if it's Gareth Bale, I understand, but like Gareth Bale did not show anything um, that or Gareth Bale, Vela, and Chicho did not show any chemistry up top. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, that's the biggest thing is the chemistry up top. Like for LAFC, like, look, I think it's gonna take some time. And look, you're able to find chemistry within like easier opponents, but when you have a Austin FC, the number 2 team, you're gonna get tested, and they got tested. And I was shocked that they couldn't create anything because I think Gareth Bell, he did have an opportunity, like I want to say in the first half, but he decided instead of taking a shot at goal, he decided to cut it back. And I was like, man, like if you would have had a shot on goal, like at least you got kind of get a little bit more warmed up. You test the keeper a little bit, but I think when he cut it back in the first half, he ended up cutting back. I think the play didn't come out to anything, and I'm not sure if they had a shot in the first half or anything like that. But let's talk about the chemistry up top because you got Bell, Chicho, and Vela. And was it? Do we have to give more credit to Austin FC defensively?
Yes, yes. Gareth Bale was really well managed. That credit to Austin's defense. But yeah, like let's analyze this. Because there is this saying that having too many good strikers is a good problem to have. Is this actually a good problem to have for LAFC? Like not having chemistry
Well, no.
at
If you don't
this
have
point?
chemistry, yeah, you bring another thing. Yeah, the chemistry
Yeah,
thing.
at this point of the season, is this actually a good problem to have? Maybe not. But like I asked Giorgio and Carlos, it's better that it happens now than it happens
Hmm.
on the playoffs. But yeah, the chemistry is not there. I really admire Mahala for the things that he has been doing as a starter and coming from the bench because imagine being Mahala, I'm doing things good. I play a good game, I score, I make an assist, and then you sit me on the bench for the next game. Despite that, he brings everything coming from the bench. So it's a
Right.
matter of good attitude and mentality. Speaking of attitude, that reminds me of Brian Rodriguez going to America, which is all the opposite between good and bad attitude. But yeah,
Look, we don't need to talk about Brian no more. We're
yeah,
done. We're done. That's
I'm
moved on.
good.
We
I'm
don't
good.
need to bring him up anymore. I'm glad he ended up moving on over there.
Yeah,
But look,
man.
let's talk about this because not just that, not just up there, but defensively,
Mm,
Jesus Murillo committed or gave a bad pass, which led to Jesus or to Segura committing a foul, which led to Austin FC's first goal. They were also bad defensively. I think they were bad all defensively, midfield, and up top. It was just not
yeah,
good.
not a good game.
Let's talk about that because you mentioned something earlier. Ron Holling said last game was playing as a forward, and then this game he's playing as his natural position as right back. But he also struggled. Murillo struggled. I think maybe Segura and Palacios probably had the better performances, if that's okay to say. Like I don't know. I don't know if I can't really think of anybody having a good game for LAFC
Average.
outside of the subs. Outside of the subs, and I would say Chicho too. His effort, I would say
Mhm.
Chicho. Um, but there was the defensively. I was at the stadium and I was like shocked how there was no chemistry there as well. There was just I don't know. I was just confused because this is not the LFC team we've seen.
It looked like a 2020, 2021 version of defense for LAFC. Back in the day when you would get really nervous with the defense. Last minute at the bank, 1-1, minute 35, 85 minute, and then the other team will score to win. It felt like that. It brought bad memories, And Murillo has been playing pretty well, and
Yeah,
Eddie
he's been
Segura
playing really good this year.
is good. He's playing, but no, Friday was atrocious, and I insist that brawl, which is really personally really entertaining to watch. It was kind of entertaining.
You enjoyed that, didn't you?
Yeah, he deserved a yellow card, and Murillo eventually received a yellow card in the second half, and in my opinion, LAFC should have lasted with 10 men. It was that bad. The game was that bad. When even your LAFC could ended the first half with both their central defenders with yellow cards. Yeah, there it is.
Mhm. There's a we're
Whoa.
watching the scuffle there. Look, these two teams. I tweeted this out. These two teams gets more and more intense between each other every single game. They're probably going to meet each other somewhere down the line. Some come playoff time. You know, Austin FC has two games completely have swept them during the regular season. But I think this to me, when you see that, look at that point, Mario's upset. He kind of flops there. You know,
Giorgio
Chiellini,
is a gentleman. Look at Giorgio there.
yeah, and then you have Maxime Crepeau gets in there, he pushes him, shoves him, has his teammates back. Obviously, you don't want to see anybody get hurt. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was watching this from the press box. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what happened? Like, why is this going on in the 38th minute? But look, this is what happens when you're the number one, number two team.
Hmm.
Things aren't going your way. But I think this kind of in a way fired Austin FC up a little bit more. You know, I think this motivated him anymore that this instance, and I don't think this by any way. I don't think this helped LAFC at all. I don't think sometimes it helps you, sometimes it hurts you. Um, we got Andy also in the comments who recently had switched over to Austin FC. So I want to congratulate Andy for being one of the newer Austin FC fans. But I know he was jumping up and down this whole game and having a good time. But but
Saludos, Sandy.
yeah, yeah, I think I saw more fire, I saw more motivation, more hunger out of Austin FC, and for whatever reason, I don't know why the hunger wasn't there for LAFC with all the talent they have, with all what they've been doing this season. Um, and I don't know. I just and you mentioned a good point. They really were missing Ilie Sanchez in that midfield. And I think Sharundle didn't want to acknowledge. He said something along the lines of not one player. Like don't quote me word for word, but he said something along the line like not one player. I don't know. It makes the difference. I don't know if you remember, Jose. He said something along the line like that, essentially saying that the rest of the teammates could have uh, picked up the slack, but they just didn't. And I think you see how crucial Ilie Sanchez is at the
Hmm.
position he plays because Carlos Costa was there. Like nothing was fluid to connect from the midfield um, to up top. Like there was no midfield for LAFC in this game. I don't know. I don't. And then I mean I know it was just Friday, but I can't remember where there was a good midfield position. I just felt there was so much pressure from Austin that they did a good job defensively. They did a good job attacking wise, and unfortunately, everything went to shambles for LAFC.
Yeah, and when there was some freedom on the midfield, Latif Blessing had a play by himself, and he didn't take a right decision. Maybe a 2018, 2019 version of Latif may have had a better decision, but it didn't happen. It was not a good game, Kelly Acosta either, and then Sebas Mendes on the second half, he's still adapting to the system, but no, even the midfield was totally banished by Austin FC. Not effective at all. You know what Ilya brings you is balance. He has a capacity to steal balls and then make the right pass, which is something complicated to find on a midfielder. And even when Ilya has a bad day, a bad game, the whole team suffers. Not having Ilya and not having a good version of Ilya affects LAFC. When Sanchez is
Hmm.
in a full capacity, LAFC is the most beneficial one.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, but yeah, no, I think to me just that. I think the second half. Look, you already had a bad first half, but the second half to give up 5 goals in the first 5 minutes, the game was over there. The game was over there,
Mhm.
3-0. The goals that was it was Ruti who had two of those goals. It was just insane. And I think I was surprised that Giorgio Chiellini did not come in right away at the second half because I felt like he could have came in for Jesus Maria. Look, he's been great this season, but he just had a bad game. I thought you could have brought him. I thought you could have brought him. You probably could have took out Ryan Hollinshead. You could have brought Escobar a lot sooner. Mahala probably a lot sooner. But by the time the third goal came, I think it was over and done with. But I think I would have, I think if you would have saw Chiellini come in, bring in more. I think this game needed Chiellini at the 45 minute just because of who he is. and what he's capable of. I don't look. I'm assuming he was capable. He was really mad. He didn't play that much, but he was really mad that they lost this way. But I think to me, he could have. Look, I'm not saying they would have won this game if Chiellini and these subs would have came, but I think there might have been a difference there, at least defensively.
Yeah, a better attitude from LAFC. And you mentioned the third goal. Going back to the second goal, it was on a free kick. If on a free kick they scored you on a second play, that tells you how bad your defense was. Because it was first the first kick, it didn't happen. Second play, I believe it was Alex Ring who took the ball from the right side and then make a deliver, and then the header. That's full concentration from Austin FC and a lack of it from LAFC defense and the whole team in general. And yes, Giorgio may have brought more effectiveness when it comes to defense. Where to stand, where to run, when to make a tackle. And his leadership was missing in the field. I'm sure there is a lot of it on the dressing room, and we can see that from his press conferences. The type of answers that he gives us are really complete and really informing, and he gives great reviews, not only of what happens on the field, but what happens out of it. But yeah, Giorgio was totally missed. But will he be able to play for 90 minutes throughout this season? I don't think he has played a full game yet. I can't remember that, but let's see if he can play for 90 minutes and help LAFC defensively as he has on the last 7 games since he has come to the black and gold.
Yeah, look here. I think this is you were talking about this is the second goal. I think to me, like,
yeah,
Murillo didn't close out well. If we see this one, this is the second goal. As we'll see here, it comes from a free kick, and this is what the 47th minute. Murillo doesn't close out right properly. Bam, second goal comes in. I think to me it's just like that to me was look. I'm not saying it's completely Jesus Murillo's fault, but I think to me, I would have liked Giorgio Chiellini. I think the subs need to come in right away. As soon as this happens, you need to have some subs. You need to change right away, because at 2-0, you still got a shot. At 2-0 in the 47th minute, you still got a shot to tie the game, potentially win the game. At 2-0 47 minutes, you still have a shot to win the game, but I don't think Chicharito reacted quick enough with the substitutions. Okay, bam, we're down. Boom, bring in so-and-so, bring in Chiellini, bring in Mahala, bring in. You just got to unload the bench to win the game. You know what I'm saying? But by no means do I feel like LAFC is completely out, or I don't really see them as the contenders. I still see them as the number one team. But look, right now, Austin FC currently has their number. And I think this is a good experience for LAFC. This is a good experience for Chicharito, because in games like this, you got to be able to react quickly and try to win a game back, or try to fight for a game back any way possible. Because this team is that talented. This team has the talent to do it. But I just think the reaction there wasn't quick enough from LAFC. The players that were currently playing weren't reacting properly. I got Andy saying Wolf ball. Yeah, I mean Josh Wolf, he played the game plan well. We have here another comment. It says our back line leading Chiellini's leadership. And he says that's the Murillo I know. Look, yeah, that Murillo.
Not this season. Yeah.
Look, he's had a good season, but that's two bad plays on Murillo. And to me, when you have Chiellini on the bench, you bring him on because then the game, once it got 3-0, it was completely out of reach. And then that was there were 3-0 in the 49th minute, and then it was 4-0 in the 59th minute. I mean, obviously Chicho got one back, but to me it was crazy. I was like, man, I was like, I knew the game was over in the 49th, 50th minute, so I was just like, there's no really point of watching this game, really, because it was I expected more entertainment. Unfortunately, it did not happen. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about when this happens to LAFC, because they got punched in the mouth. They got punched in the mouth and they couldn't react. What do you see moving forward? Because I still think, to me, they're still the number one team. They're still the team to beat unless they face Austin in the playoffs, because Austin is not going to be an easy out, even if they have home field advantage.
I think first of all, I want to say that I love the green light from the Austin Stadium when they score.
That is
I
amazing.
love it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know how it does it look like in person. I myself, that's amazing. But moving forward, I think two things can happen at least on the following two games. Either they make rotations for the physical aspect and try to find chemistry on the midfield and on the top, because defensively there is some like answers there, even though there was a bad game on Friday. Or they make a consistent lineup to get these players used to playing with each other. You know, these two, I see two things happening. Regardless, the power of LAFC is there. The offensive power of Gareth Bale, the effectiveness of Chicho Arango, the dynamic and enthusiasm of Mahala, and I insist in that a lot. Maybe Carlos Vela is not giving you like the speed that he used to give you back in the day, but he can still make a good pass. You know, there are options there, but are you gonna still making rotations, or you're gonna make a constant starting 11 to build chemistry among your players? It's more
Yeah.
the
Look.
questions and answers.
Yeah. Look. I think to me, look, they got a big game this Wednesday against the Houston Dynamo. Look, Houston is the dead last in the standings of the Western Conference side. They get bounced back. They got to go to Houston. They got to get that win, regardless of whatever happens. You got to get that win. I mean, it's an easy one. You get 3 points. But yeah, I want to see how this team bounce backs from this. Like two bad losses, one against San Jose, now against Austin FC. You kind of get to get some momentum because you get some momentum again, because I think the chemistry thing, I think to me, I think is a real issue of the new players, because you have a lot of turnover coming in, right? You're still trying to get Gareth Bell involved. You're still trying to get Christian Teo, Dennis Buanga. Look, there's including tomorrow, or including Wednesday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games left, and then it's playoffs. Is 7 games enough time to get the chemistry with Dennis? I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't even know if Dennis and Christian Teo are going to be available Wednesday. So let's say for whatever reason they're not available Wednesday. So you got 6 games potentially where Christian Teo and Dennis Buanga can get some chemistry with these teams. Now, then the question gets trickier, right? Is Dennis going to start? Is Teo going to start? What does that mean for Mahala? Because I think he's going to be the odd man out, right? But is it going to be Bell, Chicho Rango, and Vela? I'm assuming that's going to be the top three, and then you have Mahala, Christian Teo, and Boanga. You got that to me is the next top three. But how is that going to work? How are you going to build chemistry? How do you know Vela wants the ball on this side? How do you know, like, we saw one of the best players in the world, Gareth Bell, struggle, which I think we're all surprised how much he struggled. But like finding your form goes a long way. Building that chemistry with your teammates goes a long way. Knowing when you want the ball, knowing where you want this, and I think if you have a hot hand, which you do, Mahala, um, you gotta find ways to give him more minutes. But what are your thoughts on the chemistry, Jose?
Yeah, like I said, it's gonna be interesting how that is built, and the rivals of Christian Tello and Dennis Buanga at this point, because of the visa issues, which I am familiar with that too as well. Yeah, I know how that feels. um, it's something that is more looking for next year. Maybe Chicho Arango is gonna be sold. Jose Cifuentes, a lot of rumors of him leaving to England. Maybe he doesn't leave right now, but maybe he's gonna leave after the World Cup. So these arrivals, maybe there is not a quick impact right away on this season. Maybe not, maybe yes. We saw what Riqui Puig did against New England with the Galaxy. It can happen. But the chemistry, maybe training is not enough. There is not enough time to build that. Training maybe lasts 1 or 2 hours. Maybe they need 6 hours per day to build that chemistry, and 3 more games on a week or something like that to play together, because time is 7 games seem far, but time really flies, and especially now when one game comes right after the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be interesting to see if they are able to build chemistry that quickly. Carlos Vela is Carlos Vela, but he's not giving you the games that he used to give you.
Well,
That
I
remind.
think hold on. I think on that point, the Carlos Vela, I don't think it's that. He just wasn't getting the service. Jose Cifuentes
Hmm.
wasn't passing the ball well. So I saw a lot of
Yeah.
frustration from Carlos Vela, but it wasn't. He just wasn't getting the. Jose Cifuentes was messing up on the passes. The service, I think Carlos Vela is more effective when you put the ball right on his feet. Give him the ball.
Hmm.
Put it around his feet and let him do his thing. But they couldn't even get him the ball. There were some bad passes from the
Hmm.
midfield from Sifu Latif. They couldn't get him the ball, and I think I saw so much frustration from Carlos Vela. Carlos Vela to me just didn't get the service that he needed to make more of an impact because the ball just wasn't going there. And I think that goes back to Ilya Sanchez not being there in the midfield, and I think that's where if you can't give Vela the ball where he needs to have the ball, then you're not going to get the service. You're not going to get the performance out of him. Granted, yeah, he can demand the ball a little bit more, but I think Bell wasn't passing. Bell wasn't doing anything. Chicho was struggling a little
Oh.
bit until the second half. But yeah, it's just there's just so many things that's going on right there, and the chemistry with those guys. I think when you face tough teams like this, and they're going to face more tough teams come playoff time. And I think even Andy points out a big thing here in the schedule. He says these last two games against Portland and Nashville might be the ones to have LAFC slip out of the top spot.
Hmm.
I don't know if they slip out of that. That's a good point. The Portland and Nashville, because these two teams are fighting for playoff positioning. The last two games of the season are going to be very tough ones, and the Portland one's going to be away, but the Nashville one will be at home, and those are,
Hmm.
I believe, currently. I know Nashville's a contending team the playoffs. Let me see what Portland's currently at. Portland is in eighth. Yeah, they're contending as
Oh,
well, so they're in eighth.
surprising.
So that's gonna be a very interesting one right there. So it's getting interesting. So yeah, we're gonna have to see with all the turnover. But yeah, I'll let you finish about the chemistry with these players.
Yeah, and on this point, what happens if LAFC comes to those games already with a supportership? What Steve is going to do? But yeah, chemistry is built on training and during games, and let's see if there is enough time to build it. On the following games against Houston, and then at home against, I believe on Sunday it's against Real Salt Lake, and then against Dallas. Competitive teams. And let's see if that happens during that time. Win, lose, or tie, it's gonna be easier to analyze that with victories. LAFC has the capacity to win games even when they don't play that well. We saw that against DC. But chemistry wise, it will be interesting to witness how that goes in the following 7 games.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Look, by no means do I feel like this team's out, but there is questions because look, it would have been one thing if LAFC lost 3-2 or 2-1. That's one thing you lose, right? But I think completely getting dominated and losing 4-1, that's where the red flags start to come out. The questions start to come out because of how bad they perform in the biggest stage. Chris, big fan of the show, he says Opoku, Vela, and Chicho need to start. To me right now, I think that's
That's
currently
mine too.
yeah, currently right now that's the best three that they have until Bell is able to get into better form. Because for whatever reason, we didn't see the best out of him. Look, it could have just been one bad game for Bell, or Austin FC is that good defensively because LAFC have struggled this season with both of these games against Austin. But yeah, I prefer Opoku, Mahala, I prefer Mahala, Bell, and Chicho. And I think to me it's just like you're bringing thing that to me it's like they're bringing two wingers, and we saw how much they struggled in the midfield. And I kind of wonder why they probably couldn't get if they brought in Teo and Bouanga, maybe if you got another midfielder potentially instead of another
Hmm.
winger, could that potentially help? But I don't know. Um, but yeah, no, I by no means do I feel like it's over for LAFC or anything like that. But look, the supporter shield race is very tight. Philadelphia has 54 points. They're 3 points behind. Um, they're 3 points behind LAFC. If we look at the standings one more time, you see Philadelphia has 54, LAFC 57, Austin
57.
creeping in with 51. And Philadelphia right now, I haven't watched their games, but I've been watching some of the highlights. I think they smashed DC United like 6 or 7-0. I forgot.
That's closer than I thought.
Yeah, no, it's a lot closer. So the wiggle room's not there, and I think Philadelphia, to me, I think Philadelphia has hope. Austin has hope to potentially catch him because if, say LAC gets another tie or something like that, the gap is not that big. It's 3 points. It's 3 points there, and I think if you're Philadelphia, you definitely feel like you can catch up to LAFC. Even if you're Austin, I mean, 6 points is 2 games away. Like things would have to go bad, lose 2 games or not get any points for Austin FC to catch up. But I definitely feel if something goes not according to plan for LAFC, Philadelphia could potentially sneak up and get in, meet them in that supporter shield race. And that's one thing you don't want to do if you're LAFC. You don't want to give any wiggle room, and I think that's what happened. And you just gave the rest of the league some hope, or at least Philadelphia and Austin some hope that because for a while it felt like LAFC was just going to run away with the supporter shield. Now, as of August 29th, it doesn't feel that way with 7, 8 games left in the season.
And there is a debate if supporter shield is important. It is important. If MLS was a normal league, like a top European league, the supporter shield will be the champion, and can imagine being the whole season in the top, and then at the last moments of it, you lose it out of because of bad performances. Maybe that can affect LAFC on the playoffs, losing the supporter shield that way. And it will be a great boost of motivation from Philadelphia, like coming from the back throughout the season and then getting the supporter shield. It will be an accomplishment to them. So to that debate of the supporter shield, yes, it is important because it brings sense of accomplishment and it tells you that you were the best team on the throughout the season. But the important thing is to bring that excellence that you have during the season to the playoffs, which is not always the case.
Yeah, but you on top of that, you also get a CONCACAF championship bid,
Oh yeah,
which is very, very important. So I think to me the supporters shield is it's very important.
it is.
Just for that purpose alone. If you didn't get a CONCACAF bid, then you can kind of scratch it out. But you get a CONCACAF bid, so that's one way to guarantee themselves CONCACAF, regardless of whatever happens in the MLS playoffs. But look, to me, this team is still the way they're built is MLS or MLS Cup or bust, regardless. But to me, it's like MLS Cup and Supporter Shield. To me, with the talent that they have, the talent that they've been able to recruit, they got to get the Supporter Shield because I think they just got to win everything out with what they have, with everything they have, and even they feel that way. The front office feels that way. Look, the folks I was with this past weekend, they feel that way. They got a lot of big things coming up for LAFC, but you got to get trophies, you got to get wins, and look, hopefully this Friday game was a big wake up call for them to know that they got to bring out their best every single game.
Yes, definitely. It is important that they bring their best, and yes, like you mentioned, the CONCACAF Champions League spot is important for LAFC as a brand. I'm looking forward to see Giorgio Chiellini and Gareth Bale to play in Central and in Central America and in Mexico. That will be interesting to watch. But yes, regarding that, like winning the Supporter Shield and like the double trophy, MLS Cup and Supporter Shield, the front office, the coaches and the players, they will be the first one to tell you that the pressure does not come from the press; it comes from themselves because they are aware of the potential that they have. They can win the Supporter Shield in any moment, and regardless of the closeness, like I told you when you were showing the graphic, I didn't think it was that close. It's still in their hands to win the Supporter Shield, but it will be important to bring good performances on the following 7 games.
Yeah, no. I think those guys are accustomed to pressure, but I think now it's with these games coming down the stretch. If you start looking at the schedules and everything like that, you can look ahead, but not too much. Like I said, they just brought in a lot of questions by the way they lost. And he says, and we know how bad LAFC wants to be back in CCL. Supporters super important to them right now because of that. And CX Cruz, he says, don't forget, gives you home field advantage too. Yeah, if you want home field advantage as well, because say if you're Philadelphia or Austin or for whoever gets the number one spot, you would assume you want home field advantage. You want the MLS Cup at your house because home field advantage is a real thing. And I think if you're LAFC, you definitely want to finish number one, regardless of anything else or how close it may get. But yeah, anything else you'd like to add? Like I said, big game on Wednesday, even though it's against the last place team for LAFC versus Houston.
It's gonna be interesting to see the battle between Mexican players Hector Herrera and Carlos Vela, who are good friends. No, Carlos Vela is not coming back to the Mexican national team for the 170th time. So
I know. They try to convince him. Did you see the Mexican press try to convince him?
Yes. The
There were good
press.
questions. There were good questions. They try to convince him.
I got emotional, to be honest. I got a couple of tears in my eyes, but no, it's not happening. But yeah, interesting duel between Mexico. So that game is gonna be a big deal on the other side of the border because of that. Houston has a really interesting players besides Hector Herrera. I'm a big fan of Fafa Picot. He's really, really fast, really, really dynamic. So it's gonna be very interesting to see the duel that he has with either Palacios or either Ryan or Franco Escobar. So let's see what happens. They have the home advantage. There is a lot of history with that game, and always Western Conferences games are really, really competitive. And yeah, except for what happened on Friday, we thought it was going to be a more even game, but normally they are really competitive. So let's see what happens on Wednesday against Houston.
I expect, look, just to finish off here, I expect LAFC to come back. They'll probably smash Houston 4-0, 5-0. They're going to come back. I think they're going to be very motivated. I think they're upset. Just the vibe talking with them after the game, I think they're going to come back and definitely punish Houston. If they don't, then more questions going to be asked about this team because right now you don't want to be trending the wrong way the last 6-7 games of the season. But I think this team's going to respond come Wednesday, and then we see what happens moving forward. But Josue, man, I appreciate you being on. If you guys haven't followed Josue, give him a follow on Twitter. You can see it right there on the chat. That's his Twitter handle. He's been doing a great job covering the team, hopping on the press calls and everything. So for Josue, everybody in the chat, Andy, I appreciate you, my boy, for always being there. Everybody hopping on the chat. I appreciate you guys. That's going to wrap things up for tonight. So for Josue, this is Gio. Catch you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.